Kirtan is a practice of devotional yoga, the yoga of love, and essentially you're repeating the names of the beloved, and so your mind comes to rest more easily because these are the names, in fact, of the love that lives within us. These are the names of love itself, not necessarily a being out there that you love. But these are the names of love, and so through the repetition of these names, you move yourself more deeply into that loving presence within. These are not just any names. These names have been used for thousands of years to transform our hearts, to transform our being. So it's a lineage and a practice that's been going on a long time. So that's the difference. It's not just like any name you can use. You can't say Shri Frank, J. Frank, J.J. Frank. It's not, nothing's going to happen. But because for thousands of years beings have been doing these practices, they have a power. And that's what we're tapping into. What's important is the attitude that one has when one's doing the practice. One understands that one is coming into contact with something within oneself that's already here. So intellectual understanding is not important, but the right attitude of kind of openness to allow things to arise from within, that's very important. I don't know what these names mean. When I know what they mean, I'll be the names. So that's a process that takes a long time. In 2 seconds. A real guru knows that they've become the whole universe. They know Guru, God, and Self are the same, are one, are not different. Guru, God, and Self. That's a guru, not a teacher, not a friend, not a helper. A guru is the living presence within you. You might meet that in a body out there, or you might not. It doesn't matter. Guru is the inner light and the love that lives within us. That's Guru, God, and Self are not different. But people who claim to be gurus are not really gurus. They're just, they might, under the best circumstances, be teachers, or they might just be charlatans. But a real guru is love. He doesn't want anything, he doesn't use you, he doesn't need anything. He has everything. He's become the whole universe. What's for him to want? And the whole universe is his own being. But who's he going to hurt? Who's he going to manipulate? So this whole issue of gurus in the West is very misunderstood. It's not a power trip. It's not an ego trip. It has nothing to do with that. You don't lose anything by surrendering to a guru. You wish you could surrender to a guru, but you can't surrender. Surrender is a difficult thing that takes a lot of practice to allow it to happen. Surrender means dissolving in love. And everybody wants that. Everybody knows what it is. Nobody knows where to find it because we're all looking outside. The guru is the one who says, hey, look in there. Here's what it looks like. Boom. But then you have to find it again yourself. So the guru doesn't lay a trip on you. He doesn't want anything from you. The real guru. You know, in the West, and because I'm familiar with the West, we don't have the emotional and psychological wiring for happiness, for love, for compassion. We're trained, we grow up as feeling separate, feeling alone, feeling that we need to grab the things we want from the outside world. Otherwise we won't have enough, we'll never get enough, we'll never get what we want. In order to develop a heart that is compassionate and kind and caring and has the strength to deal with all the difficult things that happen to us in life, one must do a spiritual practice of some kind. You can't think your way into this, because you can't think your way out of a prison that's made out of thought. Every thought is the prison. We have to transcend thought. It's not easy. And to find love, love comes from within, from a place deeper than thoughts and emotions. So through a practice is the only way you can finally release yourself from the oppressiveness of constant thinking, constant reaction, emotional reaction. And then you begin to find love. So one could, if one wants, start to cultivate compassion, start to think about other people, start to care about other people, start to notice other people's suffering, as well as your own. Start to feel how other people's happiness affects you and unhappiness affects you, because we're all connected. And to deny that is to cut yourself off from your own inner being as well. So you suffer from that, from cutting yourself off from those kind of feelings, compassion and kindness and care. These are things people think that's, I'm just going to sit like this and get bliss. You know, good luck. You might get a little taste of bliss, but it's not going to last because you don't love yourself. So you want to be somewhere else, in bliss. And bliss is here. Love is there. When you know that, then you start to stay home more. But we're not comfortable at home. I certainly wasn't comfortable at home growing up, you know. So we're used to not being at home in our own hearts. And it's a very complex and difficult situation to deal with. Only continual practice over a period of time can give us the strength to deal with that and finally figure that out. Ego? I don't have any ego. All these things come, I consider them all to be, you know, they're a result of my Guru's grace, blessings on me. Perhaps you could say that it was in my karma to have this kind of fame, if not notoriety, and a little bit of respect in some parts of the world. But you know, the whole thing is that it comes as a fruit of my practice, and not a fruit of me trying to become famous or successful or well-known. I'm sharing my spiritual practice with people. And this is a result of that. So it's not even an issue. You know? It's like, I don't feel successful. I feel like the same jerk I've always been. I don't feel famous. You know, I just feel like it's me. You know? And that hasn't really... those things, it was good to go to the Grammys. I'm glad I went, and I'm glad we sang there, because one of the results, of course, from, you know, obviously enjoying the respect that a nice, simple chanting CD received, I thought, you know, maybe there was some longing in my heart for this before, but I have nothing to do with this world. Nothing. It says completely there was nothing in that world that I wanted. I'm still a teenager, I think. Yeah, this real inner growth takes time. Your life is your path. There's not something else somewhere else, is there? It's just your life and everything in it. So your life is your path. If you're not living a good life, you're not living a good life. So you have to find, everyone has to find what means a good life to them. What they feel would make them happy. And it's only through experience that you learn. Nobody can tell you. You have to make mistakes. You have to try things. They don't work out. You try something else. there's no excuse, there's no substitute for experience. But if it's in a spiritual context, then you can learn from it. It's not as if you're torturing yourself. I mean, when things don't work out, you recognize that in a different way. It's not like you failed. It's just that this didn't work. So now let's find something else. Yeah, there's not some other life. There's not like spiritual life and worldly life. It's just you, hanging out, day by day. And everything you do has to become something that you learn from, at the very least.